You're the disappointing son who abandoned his family. Now take out a $60,000 loan for your brother's wedding. Initial post. I never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this off my chest before I completely lose it. I'm Marcus, 33M, an environmental scientist working on climate change mitigation projects. I have a PhD, published research papers, and I'm leading a team developing carbon capture technology that could genuinely make a difference. Yet somehow, I'm still the family disappointment. My younger brother Jake, 29M, is a fitness instructor. Don't get me wrong, he's passionate about what he does, runs a small gym, and genuinely helps people. I respect that. But according to our parents, Robert, 61M, and Linda, 59F, Jake is living his authentic life, while I'm just chasing meaningless accomplishments. Growing up, the dynamic was always clear. Jake was the golden child, charismatic, athletic, the one who made friends easily. I was the quiet one, always reading, always in my room working on science projects. When I got a full scholarship to university, my parents' response was, "Well, at least you won't cost us anything." When Jake decided to drop out of community college to pursue fitness training, they threw him a party to celebrate following his dreams. I've tried so hard to make them proud. I graduated summa cum laude. I completed my master's degree while working full-time to support myself. When I defended my PhD dissertation, they didn't attend because Jake had a bodybuilding competition the same weekend. "He needs our support more," they said. "You'll be fine on your own. You always are." The financial dynamics have been even more painful. Throughout my 20s, while I was eating ramen and sharing a cramped apartment with 3 roommates to make ends meet during grad school, they were paying Jake's rent, buying him equipment for his gym, covering his car payments. When I asked for help once, just once, during a particularly rough patch when my research grant was delayed, my mother said, "You chose this difficult path. Jake needs our help because his industry doesn't pay well. You have all those degrees. Figure it out." I did figure it out. I took on extra tutoring jobs, worked weekends at a lab, and somehow made it through. Meanwhile, Jake's gym has failed and restarted 3 times, each time funded by our parents. "He's an entrepreneur," they'd say. These things take time. Last week, everything came to a head. Jake got engaged to his girlfriend Sophie, and they're planning a wedding for next spring. I was genuinely happy for him. Sophie seems lovely, and Jake was practically glowing when he told me. But then came the family meeting. My parents sat me down and explained that they've invested everything in Jake's dreams and don't have money for the wedding. They've decided that as the successful son, it's my responsibility to take out a $60,000 personal loan to fund the entire wedding. Yes, you read that correctly. They want me to go into debt for my brother's wedding. "You make good money now," my father said, as if my $75,000 salary as a research scientist in an expensive city is a fortune. Jake and Sophie deserve their dream wedding. Successful people help dreamers. That's what family does. When I pointed out that I'm still paying off student loans and saving for a house deposit, my mother actually laughed. "You don't need a house right away. You're not even dating anyone. Jake is starting a family. His needs come first." The worst part? Jake was there, and he just nodded along. "I'd do the same for you, bro," he said, even though he's never once offered to help me with anything, financial or otherwise. I told them I needed time to think about it. That was a week ago, and they've been calling daily. Each conversation includes gems like, "We sacrificed everything for you boys. What sacrifices for me, exactly? Don't be selfish with your success. Jake has always looked up to you. When? This is your chance to finally contribute to the family, finally." My research colleague, Sarah, found me crying in my office yesterday. Actually crying. A 33-year-old man with a doctorate, sobbing because his parents think his only value is as a checkbook. She listened to everything, and her response shook me. "Marcus, do you realize you've been financially and emotionally abused your entire life?" I couldn't sleep after she said that. Is she right? Am I really being unreasonable for not wanting to fund my brother's wedding? They're making me feel like I'm betraying the family, like everything I've accomplished means nothing if I don't use it to support Jake's dreams. I look at my bank account, the one I've carefully built through years of sacrifice, and I think about that $60,000 loan. The interest alone would set me back years. But then I hear my mother's voice, "Family helps family." Except when have they ever helped me? I don't know what to do. I love my brother despite everything. I even love my parents, though I'm starting to wonder if they've ever truly loved me or just seen me as a future investment for Jake. How do I say no without destroying what little relationship we have? Or am I the selfish one here, hoarding my success while my family needs help? Update 1, 2 weeks later. I wanted to thank everyone who responded to my original post. Your comments opened my eyes to patterns I'd been blind to my entire life. Special thanks to those who recommended books on family dynamics and emotional manipulation. I've been reading non-stop. After my colleague Sarah's comment about abuse, she offered to have coffee and talk more. Turns out, she grew up in a similar situation and recognized the signs immediately. She introduced me to the term parentification, and suddenly my entire childhood made sense. I was the responsible one from age 8. I cooked dinner when Mom was too tired, but never too tired to drive Jake to practice. I helped Jake with homework while doing my own. I got a job at 14 to buy my own school supplies and clothes, while Jake got everything he needed because athletes need proper equipment. I paid for my own driving lessons, my own first car, my own everything, while watching them hand Jake keys to a brand new truck for his 18th birthday because he needs reliable transportation for his fitness career. Sarah helped me create a spreadsheet of all the financial support they've given Jake versus me over the years. The difference is staggering: over $300,000 to Jake, less than $5,000 to me, and that includes birthday gifts. Seeing it in black and white was like a punch to the gut. I also started therapy. My therapist, Dr. Chen, has been incredible. In just 2 sessions, she's helped me understand that my parents created a dynamic where my worth was tied to my independence and ability to provide, while Jake's worth was inherent. You were raised to be the family resource, she said. Jake was raised to be the family treasure. Armed with this new understanding, I decided to have one more conversation with my parents before making my final decision. I invited them to lunch at a neutral location, a quiet restaurant downtown. I prepared talking points, practiced staying calm, and went in hoping for understanding. It was a disaster. I tried to explain my feelings using I statements, just like Dr. Chen suggested. I told them how hurt I was that they missed my PhD defense, how difficult it was to watch them support Jake while I struggled, how unfair it felt to be asked to fund his wedding when they'd never helped me. My father's response? You're jealous of your brother's happiness. I never thought you'd be so petty. My mother added, we gave you the gift of independence. Jake needed more nurturing. Different children, different needs. You should be grateful we raised you to be strong. When I brought up the financial disparity, they actually got angry. How dare you keep score, my mother said. Is that what family means to you? A balance sheet. I pointed out the irony of them asking me for $60,000 while condemning me for keeping score, but they didn't see it. According to them, Jake has struggled enough and deserves a beautiful wedding. I've had it easy with my fancy education and cushy job. Cushy? I work 60-hour weeks in a lab. The breaking point came when my father said, if you don't do this, you're essentially saying you don't want to be part of this family. I stood up, placed cash on the table for my meal, and said, then I guess that's what I'm saying. I haven't answered their calls since. Jake has texted me several times, alternating between calling me selfish and trying to guilt me with memories of our childhood. Remember when I shared my Halloween candy with you? Yes, Jake, I remember. I also remember that I gave you my allowance for 3 months when you wanted that gaming system. The hardest part is the silence from extended family. Word has gotten out, and I'm being painted as the successful son who abandoned his family in their time of need. My aunt posted on Facebook about family values and how some people forget where they came from. I wanted to comment about how I came from nothing, built everything myself, and am now expected to hand it over, but I didn't. I just unfriended her. Sarah and my therapist have been my lifelines. They remind me daily that saying no to unreasonable demands isn't selfish, it's necessary. But knowing that intellectually and feeling it emotionally are different things. I still wake up at night wondering if I'm doing the right thing. Update 2, 6 weeks after initial post. Something unexpected happened that changed everything. I'd been maintaining radio silence with my family, focusing on work and therapy. Then, out of nowhere, I got a Facebook message from Sophie, Jake's fiancée. I'd only met her a handful of times, and we'd never really talked one-on-one. Her message was simple: Marcus, can we meet for coffee? I'd like to understand what's happening with the family. I almost declined, assuming it was another guilt trip. But something in her tone seemed genuine, so I agreed. We met at a small cafe near my lab. Sophie looked nervous, fidgeting with her engagement ring, a modest solitaire, nothing extravagant. She started by saying she'd been confused by the sudden family tension and Jake's vague explanations. According to him, I'd simply refused to help with the wedding out of jealousy. But that didn't sound like you, she said. In the few times we've met, you seemed so supportive. So I wanted to hear your side. I decided to be completely honest. I told her everything, The childhood dynamics, the financial disparity, the expectation that I take out a $60,000 loan, the ultimatum. I even showed her the spreadsheet Sarah had helped me create. Sophie's face went through a journey of emotions, confusion, disbelief, then horror. "They want you to take out a loan," she whispered. "Jake told me your parents were paying for everything. He said they'd been saving for years." That's when I learned something crucial. Jake had been lying to Sophie about their entire financial situation. He'd told her our parents were wealthy, that the gym was profitable, that money was never an issue. She had no idea about the failed businesses, the constant bailouts, or the fact that our parents had drained their savings supporting Jake's dreams. "I thought your parents were paying because they wanted to," she said, tears forming. "I never would have agreed to a $60,000 wedding if I knew." "Oh my God, Marcus. This is insane." She then asked me questions no one in my family had ever asked, about my research, about my goals, about my struggles in grad school. She listened, really listened, and by the end, she was crying openly. "You know what the worst part is," she said. "Jake genuinely doesn't see it. He thinks this is all normal. He told me you were lucky because you got to go to school while he had to work on finding his passion. He actually believes your parents did you a favor by not helping you." Before she left, Sophie hugged me and said, "This isn't right. None of this is right. Give me some time to figure out how to handle this, but Marcus, don't you dare take out that loan." I didn't hear from her for a week. Then Jake called me, and for the first time in our lives, he sounded different. "Sophie's called off the wedding," he said, his voice hollow. My heart sank. I never wanted to destroy his relationship. But he continued, "Not the marriage. Just the big wedding. She told me everything. About the loan. About Mom and Dad. About what they've been doing to you." There was a long pause before he said, "I didn't know. I swear to God, Marcus, I didn't know it was that bad." We talked for 3 hours. For the first time, Jake actually listened to my perspective. Sophie had apparently spent the week showing him old photos where our parents' favoritism was obvious, pointing out the differences in how we were treated, making him realize that what he thought was normal was actually deeply dysfunctional. "Sophie asked me a question," he said near the end of our call. She asked, "When was the last time you did something for Marcus?" And I couldn't answer. "I've been thinking about it for days, and I honestly can't remember a single time I've helped you with anything meaningful." He broke down crying. My brother, the golden child, the one who had everything, cried and apologized for 30 minutes straight. It wasn't perfect, he still defended our parents sometimes, still slipped into old patterns, but it was a start. Sophie took over planning a different wedding. A small ceremony, immediate family and close friends only, in a local park. Total cost, about $5,000, which she and Jake are saving for together. They both got second jobs, Sophie tutoring online, Jake doing early morning personal training sessions. The real shock came when they told our parents. According to Jake, our father went ballistic. "After everything we've done for you," he'd shouted, "you're choosing your ungrateful brother over us?" Jake's response, which he told me with pride, "No, Dad. I'm choosing to be an adult. For the first time in my life." Our parents have now cut Jake off financially and emotionally. He's experiencing what I lived with for years, and while part of me wants to say, "Welcome to my world," mostly I just feel sad for him. He's lost his safety net and his illusions in one fell swoop. But he's also gained something. He called me last week, excited, "Marcus, I got my first real paycheck. Like, from actual work, not from Mom and Dad. And I used it to pay my own rent. It feels different. Good different." Sophie has become an unexpected ally and friend. She texts me updates, sends me funny memes, and has even attended one of my research presentations. "Someone from your family should be there," she said. Watching her genuinely engage with my work, asking thoughtful questions, showing actual pride in my accomplishments, it healed something in me I didn't know was broken. Final update, 3 months after initial post. I'm writing this from my hotel room the night before Jake and Sophie's wedding. So much has changed in 3 months that I hardly know where to begin. First, the practical stuff. Jake and Sophie have completely transformed their lives. They moved into a smaller apartment, created a strict budget, and have been working incredibly hard. Jake's gym is actually turning a profit for the first time, probably because he can't run to our parents for bailouts anymore. He's had to learn accounting, marketing, customer service. Sophie jokes that she fell in love with one man and is marrying a completely different, better one. Our parents attempted several manipulations. They tried to guilt Jake back with health scares. Suddenly Mom had chest pains whenever Jake missed a call. They attempted to triangulate through relatives. They even showed up at my workplace, causing a scene in the lobby until security escorted them out. Each time, Jake and I stood firm, supporting each other in a way we never had before. The extended family drama exploded when Jake posted on Facebook about working extra hours to pay for his own wedding, thanking Sophie for showing him what partnership really means, and me for teaching him that real men earn their own way. The comments section became a battlefield. Some relatives praised Jake's maturity. Others condemned us both for abandoning our parents. Then Aunt Patricia, my father's sister, called me. "I've been waiting 30 years to say this," she began. She told me how my father had been the golden child in their family, how my grandparents had funded his every whim while she worked from age 14. "I watched him recreate the same dynamic with you boys, and it killed me. But your mother wouldn't hear any criticism. I'm proud of you for breaking the cycle." That conversation led to more revelations. Other relatives reached out with similar stories. Apparently, our family dysfunction was an open secret, but everyone had been too polite or too afraid to say anything. Dr. Chun has helped me process all of this. The guilt still comes in waves, especially when I think about my parents aging without their sons in their lives. But she reminds me that they made their choice. Their love was conditional on our compliance. Jake and I are simply choosing not to comply anymore. The most beautiful development has been my relationship with Jake. For the first time in our lives, we're actually friends. He calls me for advice, real advice, not just money. We meet for lunch weekly, splitting the check. He's reading books about financial literacy and even attended one of my research presentations. When a colleague mentioned how proud I must be of my brother, Jake overheard and said, "Not as proud as I am of him." Last week, Jake asked me to be his best man. "I know it's last minute," he said, "but I can't imagine anyone else standing next to me. You've taught me more about being a man in 3 months than Dad did in 29 years. I said yes, of course. Sophie has become like a sister to me. She includes me in family decisions, values my opinion, and has made it clear that I'll be an active part of their children's lives. They need to know their uncle the scientist, she says. The one who saves the planet and stands up for himself. The wedding tomorrow will be small, about 30 guests in a park pavilion. Sophie's wearing a dress she found at a consignment shop that she absolutely loves. Jake's wearing a suit he bought with his own money. They're serving barbecue from their favorite local place. No elaborate flowers, no band, no $60,000 price tag. But there's something beautiful about it. It's entirely theirs, earned through their own work. My parents won't be there. They were invited. Jake and Sophie extended an olive branch, but they declined unless we apologized for destroying the family. We didn't apologize. The family they're mourning was built on inequality and exploitation. If that's destroyed, good. I prepared a best man speech. It doesn't mention our parents or the drama. Instead, it talks about growth, partnership, and the courage to change. I'll toast to Jake and Sophie, but also to new beginnings and broken cycles. There's something else. I've been seeing someone, another researcher named David, who understands my work schedule and appreciates my independence. It's still new, but he'll be at the wedding tomorrow. Jake and Sophie insisted, saying, "It's time you had someone celebrate you too." When I told them I was nervous about bringing a date, Jake said, "Bro, you've spent your whole life being brave. This is just another Tuesday for you." He's wrong, of course. I haven't been brave, I've been surviving. But maybe that's a form of bravery too. Tomorrow, I'll stand next to my brother as he marries Sophie. I'll watch two people who chose growth over comfort, love over convenience. And for the first time in my life, I'll be at a family event where I'm valued not for what I can provide, but for who I am. My therapist asked me recently if I regret not taking out the loan. The answer came immediately, no. That $60,000 is still in my savings, slowly growing, earmarked for my own future. Maybe a house, maybe a wedding of my own, maybe just security. But more than the money, I gained something invaluable. Self-respect, a real relationship with my brother, and the knowledge that I'm worth more than my bank account. Jake's been working on his own speech for tomorrow. He let me read it yesterday. One line stood out. "Marcus taught me that real men don't take, they earn. They don't demand, they appreciate. And they don't assume love, they prove worthy of it. I spent 29 years as a taker. I plan to spend the rest of my life earning the respect of the brother I took for granted." We both cried after I read it. Then we went to get beer and wings, and Jake insisted on paying. "My treat," he said. "I've got 29 years of tabs to start paying off. The wedding tomorrow won't be what our parents envisioned for their golden child. There won't be ice sculptures or a string quartet or hundreds of guests. But there will be truth, equality, and genuine love, things that no loan could have bought. As I finish writing this, I realize I'm not the disappointing son anymore. I'm just Marcus, scientist, brother, friend, and finally, family member on equal terms. And that's worth more than any wedding, no matter the price tag. Epilogue, the wedding day. I wasn't planning to add this, but something happened at the wedding that felt like the perfect conclusion to this journey. During the reception, as I was giving my speech, I noticed two familiar figures at the back of the pavilion. My parents had come after all. They stood there, dressed formally, looking out of place among the casual crowd. My voice faltered for a moment, but Jake caught my eye and nodded. "Keep going." I finished my speech to applause, and then Jake took the microphone. He looked directly at our parents and said, "Mom, Dad, I'm glad you came. You're welcome to stay, but only as guests. Today isn't about you or what you wanted for me. It's about the family Sophie and I are choosing to build, one based on equality, respect, and unconditional love." They stayed for the ceremony but left before the reception. As they walked away, my mother looked back once. We made eye contact, and for just a moment, I saw something that might have been regret. Or maybe I just wanted to see it. Either way, they left, and the party continued. Jake and Sophie danced to a song they'd chosen together, one that meant something to them rather than what would impress guests. David held my hand during their first dance, and I realized I wasn't watching my brother's wedding from the outside, like I'd watched every family event my whole life. I was part of it, valued and included. Near the end of the night, Jake pulled me aside. "You know what's funny?" he said, slightly drunk and very happy. "Mom and Dad always said you were the disappointing son. But you're the only one who never disappointed anyone. You just stopped letting them disappoint you." As I write this final update, it's been a week since the wedding. Jake and Sophie are on their honeymoon, a camping trip they saved for and planned together. My parents have made no attempt to contact either of us. The extended family is slowly adjusting to the new dynamic. And me? I'm planning my first real vacation in years. David and I are going to Iceland to see the Northern Lights, something I've dreamed about since I was a kid but never felt I deserved. Because that's what this whole journey has taught me. I deserve things not because I've earned them through suffering or sacrifice, but because I'm human and I matter. The disappointing son is dead. In his place stands someone better, a man who knows his worth isn't measured in what he can provide others, but in who he chooses to be. And that man, he's anything but disappointing.